What's up, everybody? I'm back coming in with a mini kind of discussion video talking about Randy Pitchford, who is the CEO of, well, he's Borderlands, but the same company who also helped create Borderlands. And his uh, little comment he made recently that I really wanted to discuss. But before I continue, full disclosure, I'm got a bit of the sniffles and my throat is a little sore. So if you just bear with me here, I'm still like pretty okay. It's just a very sore throat and stuffy nose. But I really wanted to discuss this because that crack he made, and I'm not sure because I don't think it was meant in any type of disrespectful way, but at the very least, it was very flippant and disregarding the feelings of the people who buy your games. And this is right in the same year that your game is going to come out. And you're shooting yourself in the foot, going to hurt your sales down the line. Now, uh, I'm on two minds of this because I understand, and this means kind of speculating, giving the recent stuff with Nintendo with their crazy price hikes, and people also worrying that the new GTA game that's coming out next year that's probably going to be costing close to $100. Now, if you understand at least the base knowledge on inflation, it is inevitable that this was probably going to happen in the gaming industry. That you know how games are being made and the level of work and detail put into it, the people they gotta hire to do these kind of things, the long hours, etc., that costs money. Therefore, it's understandable that they will, in general, not just a particular company, in general, games will stop costing, around above $60, and now be around the somewhere between the 70 to $100 marker, depending on what you're buying. Now, of course, you got games like uh, Expedition 33 that I just recently got, and so far, pretty much enjoying. I'm gonna be playing that a little bit right after this, later this evening. But you also look at something like Marvel Rivals. Now, Marvel Rivals is free to play, but you it has it doesn't it's not a traditional paywall. It's just you grind it out and you get rewards. It's very stark contrast to something like Overwatch, where it has like a very nasty paywall. uh you know uh the devs behind Marvel Rivals make it of course you can pay for certain things if you want to, but it isn't like an obscene amount. Like they try to gouge you out of every little penny that you have. Is reasonable. And if you don't want to cut to the quick and get a particular costume or whatever, you can just grind it out through certain missions, and eventually you can get the particular costume or whatever in Marvel Rivals. Expedition 33, it was like, with tax, close to $50. And proves that you don't need to fork over or force your customers to fork over an obscene amount of money, as long as you, because the devs behind Expedition 33, I think, some kind of splinter group from Ubisoft, who decided, because they didn't like how things was going on in Ubisoft, they wanted to make their own games, story centered, quality, which is something that we all want from our video games, that Ubisoft has been very slacking in the past several years. And it's kind of reaching this crescendo on crap, especially with the recent Assassin's Creed game. So it's just, I say all that to say that, okay, you don't necessarily need to gouge out money from your customers, especially if most of them are living paycheck to paycheck or have to choose between. That's where this guy Randy is, seems like he's completely oblivious, or just, I don't know, just rich for so long he's completely, oblivious to the fact that their customers ain't rich. They can't just fork over tons of money for a particular game. But the money, it has to be, like, I get it. I think he should have definitely worded it very differently. It's saying like real fans. What are the real fans, Randy? Okay, because I love the Borderlands franchise. I consider myself a fan. I love the world. The world building is amazing. Amazing characters. Great villains. But even I can understand, like, okay, if you're in this interview and properly lay out, hey, there will be a price hike. I understand there will be reservations about this, but please understand, we got a lot of people working on this project to give you some quality stuff. We want to make sure it's worth your while, but given the recent inflations and all the ins and outs that's going along behind the scenes, the price hike has to be, necessary. Blah 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 blah. That whether you would have, the customer will agree or not, they can at least respect your honesty, and you respect them enough to be that transparent and treat them like adults. And most people will, if they are so inclined, will be more willing, or the fans will be more willing to fork out $80 for this new game. And sometimes, like Expedition 33 and Marvel Rivals, you don't necessarily have to do that, depending on how you put the game together. Now, here's another point I want to bring up. The price hikes, you darn well better make sure that the game you're working on is polished, not buggy, and is complete. Or if you're doing something akin to like Call of Duty or Overwatch, you don't also, on top of paying for something like a base game or a deluxe that will be well over $100, you don't you don't make like the paywall so crazy, or you have to pay for every little thing underneath the sun just for something so benign. You have to respect your customers. Like, a good example here, the God of War Ragnarok. Now, uh, the previous game was a hell of a lot of fun, and I enjoyed Ragnarok. That was complete. There was no bugginess. Uh, Nothing was glitching. The story was cohesive. The acting was impeccable. The gameplay was amazing. Well worth the price that you pay for it. People need to be able to look at the price tag and the product that is being given, and if the enjoyment meets or exceeds the price that they forked over, then it's well worth the price in their eyes. They can oh, I can see why I have to pay all this much. This is a high quality game, and I had like a great many hours playing this. I, don't regret paying what I paid, and they respect the customer enough and was gracious enough to offer a free DLC because they know it's like, we got paid well enough already for this game that people were clamoring for and excited for. So we got a complete DLC ready for you guys, and you give you some sense of accomplishment and more story to tacked on to the overall narrative. That is something that a more game developers should do. Maybe not all, but like a good amount should take that idea and apply it, especially if certain customers pay well over $100. It will behoove you to make sure that everything is polished. Because if the customer feels scammed, then the price hikes will feel, the people will feel cheated. Not saying that you're not wrong with raising prices on the games, but if a game end up turning out like something like Cyberpunk did when it came out, then people will be a little bit up in arms about that. So it was very disrespectful, to be honest, of you putting it out there as like, oh, if you're a real fan, you will the whole price wouldn't be like a big deal to you. I was like, dude, are you so rich that you can't really fathom other people might have like a hard time paying for a new game if it's that pricey? Hold on a second. Sorry. The customer, like I said, don't want to feel like they're being cheated, out a game because there's plenty of gamers that work long hours and they want to come home, relax, and enjoy a simple video game. And the fact that, like, you see something like Red Dead Redemption 2, very polished game, very complete, well worth the price that people put up to enjoy, because that was a revolutionary game that people spend hours. It was a whole cultural thing that people like certain TV shows was talking about, like South Park, like GTA 5 and then eventually 6 is going to be exactly like that, in terms of like, oh, so much you can do with this game that, yeah, I paid like $80+ for it, but man, is it worth it. But over in your side of things, you gotta be reasonable. You gotta, like, okay, you're building something like GTA. How much you're putting in this story? Like in terms of making sure the graphics are up to snuff. You know, everything seems seamless and the gameplay is like at peak performance. Like how many hours out of this are people gonna be using this for? If it's like well over 100 hours of content, not including DLC or whatever, yeah, $100 price tag, yeah, I can see that being worth it. Especially if it's top of the line. Something like Expedition 33. A friend of mine who's been playing that for the past couple of weeks is he just recently finished. Sounds like well over 70 hours, close to 80. Yeah, $45. At least with tax, 55 and some change. Yeah, definitely well worth the price because it's so much they put into it. The team behind it put so much into it and was gracious enough to give it like a fair price. That now, in my friend's estimations, probably gonna get Game of the Year, or at the very least gonna get it nominated for Game of the Year, because they banked on they trusted their product. It's like, oh, we don't need a price hike this because we know we make a darn good. This is, god darn it, this Expedition 33. Let's roll it out. We're super confident in this. Let's do this. What Randy Pitcher is doing right now doesn't bode confidence, or doesn't show confidence in your product. In my eyes, at least, it shows like, oh, if you're a real fan, you'll buy it anyway kind of attitude. It's like, bro, it's like, it's understandable if you have to do a price hike, but don't have to be a D-head about it. Because you just display D-head behavior. Now it's probably going to hurt your sales. It's a very Rachel Zegler kind of thing right now. You're going to hurt your bottom line by, being condescending to your audience, or at the very least anybody who's even considering buying your product. Just like the Snow White movie, even though that's probably wasn't going to do well anyway, it hurt twice as much because you have somebody on press tours talking so much smack, needless smack, and turn a lot of people off. So definitely not getting any. That's lesser and lesser tickets being bought to go view your film. So you buy transitive property, being like a video game CEO guy, it's like you're hurting your bottom line, because not if you gonna behave like that, oh, you're not real fans, they're not gonna be inclined to do you a solid and buy the game anyway, irregardless if it's actually good. They're gonna be turned off by that attitude. Like I said, if you will kind of phrase it, respectfully and nicer, and it's like, hey, you guys have been so great over the years, ever since Borderlands 1, and so it's got to be transparent. We're going to have to raise the price on this new one coming down the line in the year to an $80 price tag, because X, Y, and Z behind the scenes, just to make sure what we put out is going to be top of the line, because we're thinking of you. We're doing this for you because you pay our bills. So we're going to make sure we put out a product that you, at the end of the day, will be satisfied with. That shows empathy, sincerity, respect. Because the real fans, or just fans in general of this franchise, or people who might be just curious for the first time of the Borderlands world, they will look at this like, wow, these people care. Now, of course, you're a company. It's like, you don't have to be bleeding hearts or anything like that, because, of course, you're in this to make money. But you understand why you're in this position that you're in, because the people who been enjoying your product for so many years, you uh, owe them a lot. Because the big house that you live in and whatever fancy car, not saying you're Bill Gates or anything like that, but you do pretty well for yourself, I imagine. And that's no small part to the customers, because so far you've been giving us good stuff. Even though Borderlands 3, a lot of people don't didn't care for it all that much. I like it fine enough. It's definitely better than Borderlands 1 in my opinion, but I digress. But you have built a loyal fan base over well over 3-4 decades. So the last thing you should be doing is being condescending like that. So yeah, on the one hand, I do understand why certain price tags have to be put in place for certain games, but it better be top of the line, no buggy crap. Otherwise, people feel cheated, and some of them already have to, if they got like children, like childcare they got to pay for, or rent, or mortgage, or car notes, or whatever. They have to be mindful about their spending, especially if it has to be raised to $80 to $100 for a game, and probably even more so for a console down the line. They will buy it eventually, is if they hear a hype around the product or whatever, like GTA 6. A lot of people going to buy GTA 6, and yeah, it's probably going to be like baseline price tag of $100 and some change, but the CEO behind GTA 6, what they're not going to do is go out on a press tour and be condescending like that. Oh, the real fans will still buy it anyway. Then he or she is not going to do that. They trust in their product, and we're going to make sure, like, hey, we put out some quality stuff. So the price is going to be the price. If they buy it, great. If they buy it later, great. If they not buy it at all, that's fine. But we trust that word of mouth will get around, and we'll still reap in the benefits as the weeks come after the release date. Borderlands 4, you had people on the hook already. You didn't have to say that real fans crap. Just, if you trust in your product, let it be. The price is going to be the price. If people don't like it, they don't have to fork over the money, at least not right away. If they want to do it later, let them do it later. You'll still reap the benefits. You just didn't have to say nothing. Just sit back and just trust in your product. But that's pretty much, what I had to say. I think that was just like a dumb move on his part. All you gotta do is just lay in the cut and just let the people who choose to buy Borderlands 4 buy it. And if it's top quality, word will get around. More people be definitely more inclined. Like if they can't pay it 1 week when they paycheck come in, because they got bills and other stuff, they'll definitely do it in the weeks to come. Because definitely by the end of the year, you'll be counting up your coin and like, oh my God, this is a highly successful thing, blah, 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 blah. You'll be a happy camper at the end of the day. Don't jinx it like you just did. Anyway, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Leave a comment below, because yeah, I'm pretty sure like you all agree that was probably like a dumb move on his part. But yeah, I will see you guys in a little bit. Speaking of Borderlands, I will be playing Borderlands 2, more Borderlands 2 and Expedition 33 in a little while. So I will see you all soon. Follow me in the links in the description below, and take care. Have a great week.